Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order released on November 14th, 2019. So, of course, the correct thing to do is to review it when there is only a little over a month till the sequel comes out. However, unlike some games where I can divide each section of the game into categories like story or gameplay, in this review I see no other way to review this game other than a step-by-step experience as a whole. That's why, to start us off, we're jumping right in at the beginning. Now, when I say that this might be the best introduction to a game I've seen in my life, I mean it. It is everything I want in a Star Wars game to be put into one meaningful experience. You immediately see an Imperial scrapyard littered with Republic Venators, only to be introduced to your character, Cal Kestis, and your best friend, Prof. You're sent to traverse the scrapyard in order to do your job, and while you're doing that, it doesn't feel like you're playing a game, it feels like you're watching a movie, because the camera work is busy showing you the world around you bustling with life. You see the remnants of the past war, you see the dangers of a scrap worker all in a few minutes. And at the end of the job, the ship that you are standing on suddenly becomes unsecure. You and your partner are desperately trying to save each other and stay alive as you slide down the ship, and when your friend is falling to his death, you make a choice to use the Force and save his life. But by doing so, you're sealing your own fate, knowing you'll have to leave this place or else you'll be discovered. But then it all seems to calm down again. Your friend is okay, and you have a plan to leave the planet. Only as you start to doze off, you enter a dream state, eventually leading to the transition into a Republic starship during the Clone Wars era. This is when you come face to face with your master, who tells you to trust only in the Force. Of course, that scene wakes you, and when you come to, you can see the train carrying you and your friend back to your bunks has come to a stop. Imperial stormtroopers escort you outside until you meet with the main villains of this title, the Sith Inquisitors. They are not only intimidating, but they show their ruthlessness quickly, executing your friend in a way that shows the player that they already know your every move. So what else is there that you can do but run? After finally escaping, you see one of the main struggles this game has. While it has amazing parkour and good exploration, it suffers from there being little to no reason to do that exploration besides cosmetics. Cosmetics are great until you find a look you enjoy. Then they become useless. So, how is this truly a bad thing? Well, when you go through the game, it feels like you're meant to follow the main path, to continue the story. Only it feels like you're not supposed to do anything else. The exploration is completely optional, which would be good if without it, the game's objectives weren't basically walk to the next cutscene. Now don't get me wrong, in these cutscenes you have amazing action or storytelling packed into them, like finding out how to revive the Jedi Order, hijacking an AT-AT, and the countless conversations you have on your way to planets with Grease and Seer. The list just continues to go on and on and on as you go throughout the game. But in between those, you have fighting and parkouring. And at least for the fighting, it feels like it was them testing the waters, rather than putting their all into it. Most of the fighting in this game can be boiled down to dodge, swing, parry, repeat, because none of the moves you unlock through the skill tree ultimately matter. Sure, a few help every once in a while, but most of them aren't necessary. You can complete this game pretty easily without even ranking up as long as you are slightly decent at dodging and parrying. That being said, I am confident that this pain point is being relieved in the sequel due to the expansion of the saber types we've seen so far. So I'm not too upset about it. However, while we're talking about the fighting, let's talk about the enemies. The enemies in this game are very unique. I mean, they could have taken the easy way out and made the entire game about fighting stormtroopers. Instead, they introduced planets filled with creatures, Night Brothers, side bosses, and even some purge troopers, which are basically the in-between point of Inquisitors and stormtroopers. This all boils into a melting pot where each planet's fighting feels at least different enough from the last planet to alleviate some of the monotony on the basic combat on the player's end. Anyways, I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, but it was for a reason. That reason is because this game honestly doesn't have much wrong with it. Besides the stuff I've mentioned, the only issue I've found is the amount of backtracking, which can be fixed by simply allowing for fast travel between meditation circles, similar to how bonfires work in Dark Souls. So, with that out of the way, let's get back to what's been happening in the game. Basically, after escaping, you go to a vault, find out that to open it, you need to track down the secrets of an ancient species called the Zepho. So, you go to a planet called Zepho. There, you find out the first of the secrets needed, alongside learning more Force powers, really, and finally learn that the next secret will be found on Kashyyyk via a Wookiee chieftain named Tarful. Sadly, after rescuing the enslaved Wookiees, you need to wait for them to contact Tarful. So off to Zepho you go again, this time with the intention of stopping the Empire from finding another Zepho tomb on the planet. However, on your way there, you come up against Trilla, the second sister. Learn about her past, and on your way back, you get captured by some bounty hunters that are after Grease. After a quick fight in the arena, you get rescued, find out that the Wookiee chieftain has been located, and is ready to meet you. Now, let me slow down for a bit, because up until this point, the story was kinda mid. It kind of just felt like it was there to pass some time, and didn't really progress the plot in any way, other than you talking to Trilla. However, I wanted to make this big distinction in the video because of how drastically it changes for the better. This being amplified by the level of difficulty this game throws at you on the hardest modes. For this review, and all my reviews, I try to play the game at max difficulty, to make sure that I get the entire experience, and I have no doubt in my mind that Jedi Master difficulty is the way this game is intended to be played. After you meet with Tarful, you get sent into one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire game, climbing up the origin tree, and eventually you get into a fight with the ninth sister. This fight would be an absolute cakewalk if it was not on the max difficulty, because really, all of the moves are predictable. This holds true for every boss in the game, besides the second sister, who took my dog water ass an hour to beat. My point is that the game doesn't feel oppressive at this difficulty, only challenging. The only times I struggled is when I played stupid and didn't prioritize my life. So, whether you're taking my advice and playing at max or playing on something lower, I urge you to use this game as a way to push yourself. There will be moments of struggle and frustration. Embrace them and conquer them. It will feel much more rewarding at the end. Anyways, where was I? Right. Story so far, okay. Story going forward, heat. I won't spoil some of the big parts that happen on Kashyyyk, but take my word for it when I say that this planet and Dathomir are some of the best in the game. Speaking of, next up is Dathomir, which is easily my favorite planet in the game for many, many reasons. For example, do you like your combat to actually be scary? Meet the Night Sister zombies. Do you like your bosses to be both visually stunning and unique? Meet Malicos and the giant owl thing. And finally, are you a lonely man who just wants a girlfriend with a cute accent? Meet Marin. She isn't real, but if your hair is the same color as Cal's, it counts. Right? But moving on, after Dathomir, you go to Ilum, craft a new lightsaber with a new kyber crystal you find, and you almost fail and almost give up. But then BD1 and Cordova give you the best moment in this game, in my opinion. They give you that spark to keep going and finish what you started. So, back to Dathomir you go, you get to pick up the key to the Zepho vault, and it gets stolen. Well, at least now you have a reason to go and destroy the training ground of the Sith Inquisitors. In this underwater torture base, you get to see Seer go crazy on some troopers, and finally end your long rivalry against the second sister, a fight which is easily the most difficult in the game. But not everything can be a happy ending, because as finally Trilla sees the error of her ways, he arrives. That's fucking right, baby! Darth Vader is here to wipe the fucking floor with everyone. You don't even get to attempt to fight him. The game is immediately like, yeah, you can't fucking beat him. Run. And forces you to try and escape. And even though you know that you will escape, it is still intense and puts you in the mindset of a Jedi who just came face to face with the Sith who has cut down more of your kind than you can imagine. Luckily, you and your crew escape, all thanks to Marin and Grease. Plus, you get a little hug from your scary goth GF. However, after all that work, and the many, many chances at death you had, you finally decide as a crew to destroy the holocron. Alright, let's do a quick recap of the good and bad, then I'll give the rating. Personally, I think this game does amazing things, but definitely shows its quirks being the first in the new series with this IP. Things like the story, boss fights, world building, and even enemy design are all beautiful, so that alone is a foundation that makes this game great in my opinion. However, those quirks I mentioned are all things that need to be improved, the main one being the combat on the player's end. I want there to be more reason to switch up your style. I want to be forced to learn all the other combat styles, not just use one for 95% of the game. There are also smaller points like the non-cosmetic rewards being scarce throughout the planets, and the amount of backtracking, but that's mainly only helpful if you want the game to be more enjoyable on New Game Plus. But besides what I just said, there isn't much bad with the game. So, for that reason, I think I'm going to give Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order an 8 out of 10, because it is a great starting point for the series, and I hope Jedi Survivor only improves on this game's foundation, hopefully doing so without creating more flaws. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you agree with the points I said, or simply enjoy the sound of my voice, make sure you leave a like on the video and hit subscribe for future uploads. But beyond that, I am simply glad you spent your time with me today. Remember, all my links are in the description, and I hope to see you in the future. Goodbye.